Welcome to a special coffee with yours truly, Dragan. This afternoon, day 6 of my COVID day 6 of my COVID isolation. I've decided that I will quarantine, self isolate for 7 days, meaning since I've tested last Saturday positive for COVID, I will be isolating until about tomorrow. See thereafter. Feeling better. First days was rough, but was milder than the first time that I had COVID at the beginning end of January until about mid-February to February 20th, 2020. I am triple vaccinated. Dragan is triple vaccinated and open for business. Gonna have a special cup of coffee with yours truly, Dragan. We're gonna be meditating, analyzing, and philosophizing, and special movie review. It's been some time. It's been a little bit past. It's been a while since I've done a movie review. I think maybe during COVID didn't do so much, but did a lot of them in the past. If you want to commission, sponsor, finance a video coffee with Dragan analyzing any movie of your choosing, even foreign movies or movies from the past, cult classics, whatever movies, even animes, if you want yours truly a thorough, deep, perhaps at times comical, comedic with humor analysis of any movie from yours truly, independent movie analyst, in parallel to being an independent artist, aspiring script writer, wrote a few scripts, a few lines, dialoguing, independent artist, independent athlete, independent activist, universal spiritual teaching student because don't know it all, and of course geopolitical analyst and theorist, great geopolitical analyst and theorist, superb geopolitical analyst and theorist, excellent geopolitical analyst and theorist. Not perfect, with lusts, with vices, with issues, got issues, don't play it self-righteous. Adrian Hanna, Dragon, yours truly. I am going to be applying some sunscreen since it is, well, it's getting past 22 degrees, and I take this red shirt off. I'm auctioning this red shirt, I'm auctioning this red shirt, I'm auctioning this red shirt. Selling at $10,000 as coupled with these black shorts, black shorts, which I've bought both secondhand, and with this mug, shorts starting at 10,000, shirt starting at 10,000, and this cup of coffee which I've drank, meditated, and philosophized lots of coffee with in it already. It's also secondhand bought, so started 777,777. Got some brain and some muscle, got some brain and some muscle, got some brain and some muscle, but not perfect, far from it. And gonna be saying my gratitude, being grateful, thankful that my rent is paid. And apply some sunscreen. Apply a little bit more. Oh, that's a little bit. I think that a little bit more will be just perfect. Yep. On the chest. Sunscreen applied, protection. As I will be staying, and I am staying, of course, in the sun. I was truly grateful, thankful that my rent is paid in full for July. Grateful, thankful that my electricity bill is paid in full for July. Grateful, thankful that my half of my phone bill is paid in full. So to that trinity of bills, Fourth dimension got food to last me for a few days, even if don't acquire, get, receive any other food items. And got noodles, got some sardines, and got some pasta, some noodles, some sardines, got sardines, noodles, and pasta. So I'm good to go. If I test again, maybe gonna test again tomorrow. See, come over again positive. We'll see. Maybe we'll prolong my isolation. But I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better. So much better than the first time. Triple vaccinated, open for business. Yours truly, grateful, thankful. I'm gonna say my gratitude and my thanks and my blessings and my love to farmers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, farmers, harvesting the fruits of the dance of the goddess with her brother sun, which are all fruits, vegetables, and all legumes and all grains are made, created, and produced by the dance with the forgotten goddess with her brother sun, aka Mother Nature, planet Earth with a black fertile earth, getting the golden light, life and light and heat of the sun on the waters, and black fertile earth with the fertility of the sun rays and the heat of the sun rays and the nutrients and the vitamins contained thereof within the black fertile earth and the golden sun rays and the water, holy, sacred, and divine, making by that dance fire, water, earth, and even wind, making all the fruits, vegetables, and legumes that we, humanity, me, you, rich or poor, tall or small, great or small, everybody gotta eat. So grateful, thankful for this cup of coffee that I have food so that I can continue work. And I admit I'm broke, but my work is gold. I admit I'm broke, but my work is gold. I admit I'm broke, but my work is gold. I do admit guilty that I'm broke, but my work is gold. Yesterday I did a more than 2.5 hours reading just on finance and meditation, which it was gold and yours truly. I admit I'm broke, $10,000 in debt to the RBC, Royal Bank of Canada. The government is asking me for $2,200 back, so I'm in a financial crisis, I admit it, but I'm grateful my rent is paid for July. I got food and got some brain and some muscle, although not perfect, far from it. With issues, with vices, with lust under the sun, I'm grateful for this day, this moment. Thank you, love you, kiss you, farmers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, truckers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, grocery store clerks. Thank you, love you, kiss you, nurses. Thank you, love you, kiss you, workers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, those making a sandwich, a bagel, a cheeseburger. Maybe a trucker coming from the US for the first time is having a poutine here in Quebec as a Quebecer, Canadian, North American. Global LGBTQ rainbow dragon. This dragon is a rainbow dragon, part of the LGBTQ community. Yours truly. Thank you, love you, kiss you, farmers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, truckers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, warehouse workers wearing steel toe boots, loading and unloading trucks. Thank you, love you, kiss you, dock workers in the ports. Thank you, love you, kiss you, those unloading the trucks, those loading the trucks, those in the grocery store stacking the shelves. Thank you, love you, kiss you, the workers making a sandwich, making a bagel, making food across the fast food industry, big and large, across the North American civilizational collective, the collective North American civilization here in Canada, US, Mexico, and the islands. Love you, kiss you, hug you, nurses. Love you, kiss you, hug you, doctors. Love you, hug you, kiss you, daycare workers. Love you, hug you, kiss you, sanitation workers. Love you, kiss you, hug you, bus drivers. Love you, kiss you, hug you, train operators, train conductors. Love you, kiss you, hug you, those pilots flying the airplanes above this collective of North American civilization. Love you, kiss you, hug you, sanitation workers. Love you, kiss you, hug you, construction workers, those workers in Hydro Quebec, by which I'm doing this video. Clean, renewable, zero pollution energy, and I'm heating this coffee, and I got laundry. I just did laundry this morning, did laundry this morning, did laundry this earlier this morning, so I'm having laundry being done. It's now drying in the sun, it's now drying in the sun, it's now drying in the sun, so got laundry. So thank you, hug you, love you, kiss you, workers of Hydro Quebec. Thank you, love you, hug you, kiss you, workers of Hydro Quebec. Thank you, love you, kiss you, workers of Hydro Quebec. Thank you, love you, kiss you, library clerks. Thank you, love you, kiss you, those workers in the grocery stores at all levels, cleaning, stacking, making food. Thank you, love you, kiss you, bakers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, butchers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, butchers and bakers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, bakers, for baking bagels, bread, all sorts of bread items, big bread, small bread, all sorts of bread being baked in the bakeries across the North American civilizational collective to feed the families. Thank you, love you, kiss you, butchers, the butchers, of course, who help us with the food. making sausages, making bacon with that. Butchers, love you, thank you. Hug you, all cooks. Those cooking somewhere, whatever it is, cooking a salad, cooking fries, a hamburger, double cheeseburger, a pizza, cooking some noodles, cooking all sorts of food, all general food, noodles, salads, cheeseburgers. Thank you, love you, all cooks. Kiss you, hug you, love you. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, all cooks. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, all cooks. Thank you, love you, kiss you, all hooks. Yours truly. Thank you, love you, kiss you, also the nurses and the doctors. Thank you, love you, kiss you, also the bus driver driving now in buses, families, children. Thank you, love you, daycare workers. Thank you, love you, independent artists, financially struggling like yours truly. Thank you, love you, kiss you, independent athletes that are great fitness, although don't make those millions in the patriarchal sports leagues. Thank you, love you, kiss you, all workers, all general workers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, teachers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, teachers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, teachers. Thank you, love you, and kiss you, the one who's working in a depanneur, in a convenience store selling. Thank you, love you, kiss you. Yours truly, Adrian Hana Dragon. We're gonna do a movie review. The movie is gonna be a movie that I've seen with my anonymous sister, a few days ago. As a matter of fact, I believe it was actually Tuesday. As a tradition with my sister to do movie nights on Tuesday. I have a tradition. My sister to do movie nights on Tuesday. I have a tradition with my sister to do movie nights on Tuesday. Watch the great movie, so I'm gonna do a movie review one more time. I'm gonna go rock and roll again. Thank you, love you, kiss you, farmers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, truckers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, those dock workers in the ports. Thank you, love you, kiss you, those wearing steel toe boots in warehouses, working in the warehouses, stacking pallets and operating machinery. Thank you, love you, kiss you, construction workers filling the potholes. Thank you, love you, kiss you, construction workers filling the potholes across this Hawk Island, Montreal, big metropolis island, or throughout the North American civilizational collective. Thank you, love you, kiss you, train conductors. 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 Thank you, love you, kiss you, train conductors, operating machinery, operating trains. Thank you, love you, kiss you, bus drivers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, those making cheeseburgers, bagels, hamburgers, double cheese, pizza. Thank you, love you, pilots. Thank you, love you, those working in the airports, loading, unloading luggage. Thank you, love you, all general workers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, all general workers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, all general workers. Yours truly, let's begin, commence the movie. Wait for this cup of coffee. I'm gonna say a blessing on the coffee. And let's rock and roll. Movie Gold. The movie is called Gold. Gold as in the element. Precious metal, gold, precious metal, gold, precious metal, gold. The movie is called Gold. This year was it released in 2022. It was an Australian production. So first I'm gonna say that I enjoyed the movie quite a lot, and there's a lot to it. And I really want to watch it maybe again. It has also a deep, profound philosophical meaning, and it purports in a futuristic, not so distant futuristic. It's not specified as in other movies what year it is, but it's implied and stated that it's in the future. In what future? A decade, 5 years from now, a month from now, a few weeks from now, a few days from now, a few months, a few years. It's not stipulated, so it can be years or months or in the future. It's in the future that's seems to have been hit by an economic, financial, commercial disasters, a crash, economic, financial, commercial crash. There's hints in the movie as to what has happened by the dialogue, and definitely a catastrophe that involves economics, finance, and commerce. So sort of a civilizational, economic, financial, commercial collapse. At the same time, triggering, of course, a societal collapse in different parts of the world, or it's not explicitly the movie. It's an Australian movie, so it implies in Australia, although you see different writings in different languages. You see written in Arabic, you see written in Korean, and you see written in with Japanese or Chinese, and you see a multiplicity of languages used. Although it's the spoken language is English, but you see writings in different languages. So propose that it's a not so distant in future timeline where this economic, financial, commercial disaster took place, and creating thus the furthermore the economic, the financial, and the commercial disaster thereafter due to that, whatever the event was. There's hints throughout the movie. So the movie begins, man is in his 30s, fit, and you see that they're kind of decrepit, worn down, they're dirty, the clothes are torn, they're worn and torn, the clothes are worn and torn, the area is worn and torn, and he's on his way to a place called the compound. It's called the compound. So he goes to this seemingly small village, small pit stop like village that's also worn down, not a lot of goods in the store, seems like a decrepit gas, oil and gas type of oil and gas type of service station. And it's filthy, it's unkept, it looks, and there's the important part, of course, is that looks like there's desert, although there's mountains in the landscape, and it looks like there's a desert, like it's deserted, like a great desert almost, or like a desert. And so it begins with this young man is in his 30s, looking to go to the compound, and it's, you see it even at the beginning of the movie where it's he demands for to go to the washroom, to the bathroom, and he has to go outside. It's like an outhouse, and it's filthy, it's unkept, very unhygienic even. And when he's relieving himself, taking a shit, somebody even knocks, and that person is related to be his future driver. Take him to this place called the compound, and that is the other character, the other main character. It's divided into protagonist, which is this young man trying to reach the compound, and the driver, and the characters they encounter thereafter. So you see there's distances. At one point you see 1,500 miles to a certain place. So you see that the distance seems to be great from one place to another, and between the distances of these locations is like a desert. And we get hints of what had transpired, or more than exactly what had transpired. It kind of remains a mystery, but what had transpired kind of remains a mystery. But what we do know is that there has been a severe crisis in the world, whether a world war, it's not specified, an economic, financial, commercial collapse is implied, that overturned society, that made society turn on itself, sort of, turn on itself. Lucky we have the birds serenading, chanting, singing the chorus, the birds serenading, kissing, maybe looking for, maybe it's a mating call, I'm not sure. I'm glad I have the birds singing. So, not far from my underground room of some temple. So it's implied that severe crises of whether a war, World War III that caused the economic, financial, commercial downturn and crises, it's not openly stated, but it's implied. Even the intro at the beginning, it's kind of vague and leaves a lot to imagination and a lot to speculation. It's like three words, three small phrases. In the not so distant future, not so far from now, after a something like that. I don't remember exactly. I wanted to see it again. I wanted to see it again. So it's about this young man who's trying to reach the place called the compound. Just give me a second. I gotta try to catch a bird up close because the bird is cleaning itself, and there's a bee in nature. I'm gonna try to do a little bit of art. If you don't mind, with my iPhone. I'm not gonna move this because if I move this, I'm gonna make noise and I don't want to scare it away. Oh, it's already moved. I have to ask permission for the bird. Can I do an art song chant? I see the bees. I'm gonna ask the bees. Can I do an art chant with the bees, 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 bees for you bees? Oh, there's a red bee. Never seen a red bee before. Red, red, red bee, 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 bee. What a golden, golden, golden light you see. Never seen a red bee before. Red is my favorite color, I adore. What you doing kissing on the flowers, huh? Kissing on the flowers, yep. Taking that nectar pollen, making from it. Making honey, honey, well, bunny, bunny, kiss, 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 kiss. The priestess of the goddess, blessed kiss. In the sunlight, satellites, yep. Elon Musk, this is worth $1 billion, and you know this bitch. Up in the freeze, yep. Up in the lips, yep. Up in the priestess goddess, a squeeze lips on the lips, flips with the yellow and the butter lips, butter lips, butter lips, snaps, 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 snaps. Kiss, kiss, hug, hug, give and twerk if you feel like. Put the bees, bees, yeah, the bees twerk, twerk. With a work, work, yeah, the bees twerk, twerk. With a work, work, yeah, the bees twerk, twerk. With a work, work, yeah, the bees twerk, twerk. With a work, work. The priestess of the goddess, kiss, kiss. May the honey for the humans, please, please. May the honey for the humans, please, please. May the honey for the humans, please, please. Working bees. So it's implied that there has been an economic, financial, commercial crisis, but what caused it is not specifically stated, or it's inferred kind of in more subtle language, and you have to pay attention to the dialogue. So the main protagonist, the young man trying to reach this place called the compound, and he could be called an antagonistic character, is the driver. So they start driving. Seems to be a deserted, and even the car of the driver, is decrepit, makes noise, seems unkept, and is decrepit. Seems like car needs some work, some investment. Don't know, they're missing pieces, and seems to be some parts put together from different cars, different automobiles, or even from something else to be made as the door, as the side, and as the clutch. I think the wheel is a wheel, but it seems very put together from different elements. The red bee is back. I'm gonna be give some more. I'm gonna ask permission again. Ask permission to do a bee love. It's done. It's back. Look at you beautiful bees, bee, bee. Please make the honey for humanity. Beautiful bee, bee, bee. First time I see a red, red bee. Goddess, yep. Mother Nature, yep. And I'm her priestess, Hana. And you red, and I love you. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Twerk, 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 twerk like a bee, yep. Twerk for world peace on this, please, please. Make the honey for humanity. We don't trip, please, please, please. On the switch, kiss. On the freeze lips, on the licorice lip. There you go, you bag bee. Kiss, 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 make that honey for humanity. Make that honey, honey for humanity. With a bees, 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 with a please, 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 and a kiss. When I kiss, 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 and a lips, lips, lips. When I'm moving other hips. When I say freeze, you move around like in a circle, lips. With her lips and with her hicks. With her tricks and with her flicks. With her flips up in the scripts. With her priestess and her goddess, give you a kiss. So it's between the driver and the young man trying to reach the compound. The movie revolves around them and the setting and the dialogue. The dialogue is very important, and the setting. But I really enjoy also the setting of the movie, the capturing of the elements of a post world that has been in crises. And the third time I'm gonna do is the bees back. Bee, bee, bee. Bees, bees, bees. Back come on her lap, please. Make the honey for humanity, bee. Come on, please. Make humanity up. Make that honey for humanity love. With a bee, 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 bees. For humanity love. With a bee, 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 please. Make that honey for humanity love. Kiss, please. Freeze lips on the hips, yep. Bees twerk, there twerk, bees the work, yep. Let us you the twerk, with a bees with a work, let it twerk, with a bees with a work, let it twerk, with a bees with a twerk, with a love, with a twerk, with a bees let her work, let it twerk, yep. With a bees let her work, with a twerk, with a bees let her work, with a twerk, with a bees, lees, please. What a bees, 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 lips, lips, what a twerk, what a work, what a bees, lips, lips. So the movie explains by the dialogue, and I have to say that of course the setting, the environment, it really incorporates that feeling of a post-catastrophe, a post-apocalyptic. Although I don't like to use that word because the word apocalypse does not necessarily mean evil or bad or negative. It can relate to transformation, to change, to new spiritual energies or revelations coming into the world. As a universal spiritual teaching student, I'm careful about using that word, but I think in the description that's the word that they use, post-apocalyptic, as opposed to very severe crises. Seems to have been economic, financial, commercial, social. As at one point during the dialogue, it says, well, I guess I gotta capture again the be at work, be at work. Please, can I take you? Be. Thank you for making all that honey for humanity. Oh, be. Priestess of the goddess kiss you. Yup, let us twerk as the bees work. Let us twerk as the bees work. Let us twerk as the bees work. Thank you for that work, bee. Making all that honey for humanity. Thank you for the workers, clip on crop and scarlet this, kiss, hiss, move your lips, squeeze, with a dance up in the circle for the goddess dances with us, a love, God, a love. With a love sunrises and sunsets, love with a LOVE, yep. With a kiss and hugging, with a kiss and hugging, with the flowers, would you see me? With your priestess of the goddess, that androgynous, they don't like it, born an abomination, where they gotta scream it, love it, LOVE. Please, priestess of the goddess, priestess with a goddess, they got it. But ain't got it and I never, so I gotta balance it. Data 5G, 4G, hack this phone's phone with this thing, race, took up on the face, lace. Took up on the face, lace, praise, you a leech, parasites, lips, bitch. So it's implied that the world has been created by a crisis, whether a World War III crisis, whether a economic, financial, commercial crisis, an apocalyptic crisis, whatever the crisis was, whatever crisis is in in the movie, whatever the crisis was, is there's a crisis and there's a decimation, devastation, and destruction. Even as you see the landscape, it's a desert, a bare desert, There's mountains, there's some that, and their dialogue has to be analyzed. And the characters are two different characters in many ways. They're very different. The young man is a man who's mostly in the term philosophical term is laconic. Basically, is straightforward answers and very simple phrases, very short, even short. Doesn't go into deep explanations or is not too verbose. Is more to himself and does respond to the questions of the driver. An important part of to note in the movies that when they're driving and he says that the cost to get him to the compound is $200. It's not implied the value of that, but it seems like a lot. And there's the driver at one point says plus the cost of the gas and the water. And there seems to be a misunderstanding because the driver said I thought it was $200 includes the price of the gas. So the driver says no, it doesn't. Is that a problem? He says no. And then he says that the company, his company of the one who the main character, the protagonist, tries to go to this compound and a company refers him the driver who's going to drive him there, the antagonist. And it's stipulated that the cost the cost of the gas was not included, and he has to pay extra for the gas. And the driver says, "Is that a problem?" Because we can it's kind of one point says we can turn back. He says, "No, that's not a problem," but that the company said that is 200, and that he understood, the main character, the protagonist, he understood that it's $200 with the inclusion of the price of gas, of which the driver says it's not, and he's gonna have to pay extra. So it seems like sort of it leaves, it's not conclusive, but it seems that the driver's charging extra and that the gas should have been included. It seems like that because the young man seems an honest person, a very honest person. So as they drive to this bare landscape, they have a little bit of dialogue, and it's implied that he comes from a bigger city, and that it's implied also that the majority of civilization as we know it has been devastated by whatever crisis, and that big cities, metropolises such as Hakka, Montreal, New York, LA, Tel Aviv, Berlin, Beijing, and others, it's implied, are not existent anymore. It has been a destruction, devastation. Also, what seems also that's a mixture of human and natural disasters, drought, and that caused a World War III or an economic financial collapse, which caused. And so as they drive to this bare landscape in crises, you see the dialogue, it's implied what has happened. And at one point, it's repeated during the movie. It says that people turned on each other. So I guess in the crises, right? And exhibiting during the worst parts of COVID, how people were desperate and were stacking stacking goods, even hoarding. It's even happening now as the inflation hits us, and it could be in the movie that an event such as hyperinflation. Now, one current events, we have very big inflation. We haven't had in North America, the collective of North American civilization and beyond. We haven't had such inflation in decades. So it could be that it's an event such as hyperinflation, which devalues the currency, caused an economic, financial, commercial collapse. Right? But in the movie, we don't know for sure. In the movie, we don't know for sure. But at one point, it's repeated that people turned on each other. So as as you watched people turn on each other, as you watched people turn on each other, as you watched people turn on each other. So it's implied that that is what has that's what happened. Plus the social of that event, the social dynamics and the societal collapse, little pockets, preservation here and there. But and so as they drive along, they have discourse, they dialogue, and they get to know each other a bit. Two different characters, one more verbose, more experienced with the desert, and older in age. The other one a more quiet yet strong, laconic character. There's a certain strong philosophy about his being, his mode, how he is. A calm. There's important this word of the character that he's very calm to the extreme, cold, almost calculating. So like a surgeon, surgeon need be like cold, calculating coldness to it, right? has a coldness, calculated, and there's a strength to him. It's a strong, cold, reserved, laconic character. Simple answers, simple way of being simple. Keeps it very short in his responses to the questions and to the dialogue. And what happens is they form this relationship. It's a business relationship mainly, but as it develops, as they dialogue with each other, and they move to the deserted, kind of a wasteland. It's kind of a wasteland to the that it's they're traversing. You see these mountain ranges, and you see there's other there's trees from time to time, and but it seems very deserted. But there's dogs, there's wild dogs, lots of wild dogs in this throughout this wilderness, desert wilderness wasteland. There's dogs, and at one point they have to stop because it doesn't show exactly when or how, but it's after they rest. The main character is driving, so he's driving the car now. He's been let to drive the car, the automobile. It's not exactly shown when the wheel how it goes, but as their relationship kind of improves, even slow margins because they've been driven for. It's not implied, but already it's a few days to get to that place, the compound, and so they stop, and so the other one shown as sleeping during the movie, and the young man is at the wheel, and the wheel is on the side of on the right side, so it's implied it's Australia, Britain, and of course India, but it's Australian movies. It's in Australia, and he turns the AC, and the engine stalls like, and the car stops, and the driver throws a fit, although the other guy was driving. Says, "I told you not to touch to put it higher, the AC, the air conditioner." So he apologizes, and they're stuck there. He says, but I think it's just the, I think he says the duct or the cable or something. So he thinks he can fix it quickly. And during that pit stop, the other person goes to take a leak, and he finds gold. He finds gold. He says, "Is that gold?" He's not, doesn't know, and he doesn't know what to do. He's not selfish. This is the main character. He calls the other driver. "Hey, come here, come here, come here." And that driver says, "Look." And the driver says he takes some sort of a lighter, in what seems like an improvised lighter gadget. As he's a smoker now. The other driver is a smoker. The other driver is a smoker. He says if it turns black, it's not gold. So I guess that's the way of testing the. Seems like a gold nugget buried within rocks and dirt and sand where they did the pit stop, and the pit stop was forced in many ways or imposed, or it happened because he had turned on the AC and the engine stalled, so they had to sort of repair. He had the main driver who owned the car, operated as a business in driving people. I'm assuming it's not discussed too much, but it's assumed that that's what that person does. He just drives people from different places to that place, which we don't know exactly what it is, but it's called the compound. And so he tests, and it doesn't turn black. It says it's gold. Wow, it's gold. They found gold. Seems like a piece of, okay, so on the surface they don't know how much. They try to get it out, they can't. They dig, it gets bigger, so they find a huge, big, mega big gold nugget. Tons, maybe, definitely hundreds of kilos. Definitely, it looks so big. I would say even a few tons. Definitely about 300 kilos of gold for sure, right? A few hundred kilos of gold for sure. But from the size of it, from what we see, it looks like a small meteorite, It's kind of like implied that it's a small, it's a big gold, huge gold nugget. It's all almost like a big nugget made of nuggets. That's the shape, that's not, it's not uniform. It's all deformed and like a nugget, with multiple sides and twists and turns, like a nugget, all multiform. So they dug around it, and it's huge, and they cannot get it out. You try with a rope, with a card, push it, the rope breaks twice or 3 times. So they can't get it up. So what do? So they're gonna stay overnight, and they celebrate. They start screaming, both of them, and the other guy's cold. He doesn't seem to be celebrating too much, the main character. Although the driver starts screaming and pulls the other one up. Come on, scream! And finally, some emotion, some feeling, some comes out from the young main character, the protagonist of the movie as well. Starts screaming, dancing in the night around the fire. So what do? They have to. They have to. They can't get the gold out. So the driver says he has a contact somewhere, about 4 day drive back and forth, more than 2 days going, 2 days coming back. It has somebody who has an excavator to get out the gold. So they decide. First, the driver wants the young man to go, to give him the name of the person, the contacts, somebody who owes the driver something. The driver states that this person owes him that favor. So somebody who has an excavator who owes a debt to the driver and be able to get the escalator. So as this goes on, the driver wants the young man to go, and the young man, in his very laconic responses, say, I'll stay with the gold, I'll stay with the gold. And the driver tries to convince him, said, you're not used to the desert, there's dogs, there's this and that. It's better if you go get the excavator and I stay with the gold. He doesn't want to, so he ends up staying with the gold, the main character, the protagonist. And the main character leaves him water, instructs him what to do to the night, the dogs with fire, and he gives him a sat phone, which in a parallel life, being that science, innovation, and technology is my parallel life, where satellites, supercomputers, satellites, ICBM rockets, and gadgets is my chosen path. That's my technology, innovation, and science is my chosen path in that parallel life. Know how satellite phones work in this life. Very, very, very general information. Radio waves. Know a little bit about this and that. Have more questions than answers. But continuing with the movie review, they reach an agreement, and the driver is gonna go get the excavator and leaves him with a satellite phone. It seems like a patched, taped, very decrepit phone. He leaves him with water and food, some canned food, and tells him what to do. And instructs him, because the sun, S-U-N, is to be very strong, and instructs him to do X, Y, Z, and protect himself from the sun. And so he leaves to get the excavator to get the gold, because he says, we're richer than hell. and it shows the driver leaving, and of course the adventures of the young man protecting the gold. And he covers the gold, just leaves a little piece, covers with rocks, covers the whole gold. The whole gold is covered, just a little bit of the nugget is left visible, just a little bit of the nugget, just huge, a bigger than me nugget. Is like, I would say, if I would have to give it a size and width, it would be about 3 meters in length and about 1.5 in width. So it's a big, mega big block of nuggets in a nugget, a huge nugget, gold nugget, gold. It's gold. It's gold. As they tested it. So his adventures by himself protecting the gold. There's seems him protecting his water, being careful with the water. At one point he goes around to explore the areas because he hears dogs, and he wants to build near the gold nugget. There's a tree. Doesn't have a lot of leaves or nothing like that. It's mostly the branches and the trunk of the tree left. The water doesn't seem to be around. He's very careful with the water, and it's very hot. The sun is shown a lot in the movie. See that almost like the intensity, the strength, the force of the sun kind of is stronger. They're more powerful. Could be that it's a solar flare. It's not implied or overstated, but it could be that a solar flare devastated telecommunications and brought down the economic, financial, commercial system, which in theory it's possible. A huge solar flare could disrupt satellite telecommunications, the internet, even the cables in the ocean can be disrupted by a solar flare, imagine. And so, him protecting the gold, he goes exploring the area. He finds an airplane, a small, about, I'll say about 50 passenger size plane. Not that small, but kind of small, medium small passenger plane. And it looks like it's been there for a few years in the sand. It's parts of it are broken over the place and looks decrepit, decaying. It looks like it's been there for a few years, maybe more than a decade, more than a decade, more than a decade. And there's the rust and the other elements around the plane, and the decrepitness looks to have crashed, or it's not stated. It has Korean letters on the plane. And he takes parts from the plane and builds himself near the trunk of the tree trunk. There's a tree, but there's no leaves, and it's mostly the branches. Tree, and he builds himself like a hut to stay, a hut, HUT, to stay protected from the sun. He manages to build himself a hut. The branches and parts of he even brings in a chair from the plane, a pillow from the chair from the seat, the seats of the plane. He brings two, I believe, or something like that, and a door, the door of the plane, and parts of the plane, the metal, and he builds a hut, circular hut around the trunk where he stays, and he's protected from the shade. And one important part of the movie, which is has a deep philosophical aspect to it. You see a you see a scorpion roaming around his hut and the gold nugget, and he tries to push it away, but the scorpion comes back. So he kind of forms a bizarre understanding, a spiritual understanding or social understanding in the type of way that he leaves the scorpion be, and there's deep social, philosophical aspects to this, and even mystical, spiritual. Because at one point, the scorpion, and this is a very important thing in the movie, is symbolic. The scorpion is roaming on top of the visible gold nugget. He's roaming on top, walking on top of the visible gold nugget. He's roaming on top of the visible gold nugget. On top of the visible gold nugget. And the young character, the main character, the antagonist, says to the scorpion, says, "You've roamed your whole life on top of gold and you don't even know it. You walked." I think the word is walked. WALKED, walked as in walking. You walked on top of gold your whole life and you don't even know it. So he utters out loud this to the scorpion, because he finally lets the scorpion be, because the scorpion comes back and it's not to be defeated that easily, not to be defeated that easily, not to be defeated that easily. I don't know the intention of the scriptwriter, the director. Maybe he's a Scorpio. I have to check the actors. Maybe one of the actors is himself a Scorpio. Astrologically, the symbolism of the Scorpio, transformation through kind of a death and rebirth symbolism, sex and death, kind of sex and death association with not just death but rebirth, not just death but rebirth, transformation, change. But nonetheless, as you walked your whole life on top of gold and you don't even know it, because he doesn't even know it in that sense. He has a certain different awareness of it and different relations, but in that sense, is not. So maybe the symbolism of the Scorpio here, which is pretty sure is symbolic meaning to that, is that the risking of death for riches, for gold, because literally gold, riches, right? To sell the gold, to trade it for goods, for houses, for a house, for 7 houses, for 7 cars, 7 houses, for a business, for land, for whatever, right? The value of the gold is worth a lot. The gold, but at the same time, him risking his life, stay there with the gold. So maybe that's where the scorpion comes in. The risk, staking his own life to just perhaps die and risk dying for wealth, for riches, for affluence, economic, financial, commercial affluence. So maybe that's the implication of the scorpion in the movie, the symbolism, coupled with the transformation that the gold could offer this economically, financially, commercially struggling young man. Also that hope maybe. So maybe all these are coalesced in that event of him saying this to the scorpion, the animal, which is scorpion roaming on top of the gold. He's going on top of the gold, back and forth, saying on top of the gold, and the main character, the entire protagonist says, "Your whole life you walked on top of gold and you don't even know it." Also paradox. So that's an important, in my opinion, an important symbolic clip in this movie. As the movie progresses, there is a female character which appears in the movie, and I don't want to spoil too much. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. If you haven't watched the movie Gold, it was released this year, 2022, Australian production. Maybe stop it this far and do not, because I will Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. So the woman arrives in his path, seems like a scavenger, and wants to offer him something to drink because he's just running low on water. And specifically, before I go into that, there's an element how he runs low on water. Again, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Is that black and white snake, a black and white snake, a black and white snake appears. I'm assuming he's trying to hunt it with a little knife that the driver, the antagonist, the movie gave him for protection. He gave him a knife, small knife, a pocket knife. By which he tries to kill the snake. The snake backs away, he fails, and he forgets to close his water, which was just drinking while the snake came. Was drinking water from a bottle, and he tries to hunt the snake to kill the snake, but forgets to close the water, and so the water spills. A lot of the water spills. I guess it's assuming this is another important symbolism about greed, and of course the movie deals with issues of greed, finding treasure, greed, human personalities that are different, experiences that are different, intergenerational even, because there seems to be maybe more than 15, maybe even father son like. It seems like characters were chosen to be able to be father and son, more than 20 years difference between the owner of the car, the driver, and him. It seems that way, to me at least, my interpretation. It's not implied, it's not explicitly the age difference, but there's definitely an age difference of more than 10, 15 years. I'm assuming father son, even he could be able to be the father, the driver of the young character, the main character. This is implied the risk again, right? The risk killing the snake to get something to eat, have more food to eat, and the water not being closed, and the waste for risk and greed and all this trade-offs, right? Trade-offs is another major part of the movie. Trade-off. What would you do? What would you trade for this? What would you trade for that? What would you trade for this? And of course, in a situation, in a scenario, in a setting where the world, from what the dialogue, it seems that is divided very into this, only a few that are very rich and only a few that are very poor, and this devastation that happened, and the crises, breakdown of civilization as we know it, breakdown of civilization as we know it, breakdown of civilization as we know it, or the aftermath thereof. And so a new woman appears in the movie, or in the character, female character, and she tries to dialogue with him, and at one point she says he doesn't want to speak to her, and she asks questions. She asks a lot of questions. She asks a lot of questions, and he just answers simply. And at one point, the woman says, "I don't believe you. You're lying. You're hiding something." She even instructs him. She says that 5 miles away there's a water pond, or a water source, a water pond, pond, pond somewhere. He doesn't want to go. He says this and that. Leave me alone. She meets him at the when he's inside the airplane that he found, the Korean jet that has been there for seemingly many years, and devastated, not functioning, and full of sand. Parts of it are everywhere and rusty and decrepit. So she finds him in the airplane. And then he leaves to go to the camp, and she follows him. She doesn't believe him, so she's getting more irritated by her questioning and her following him and trying to go to the camp. Finally, she arrives close to his camp, and where he built that hut he built from parts and from part of the planes, a few hundred meters away from the plane. It's implied that it's a few hundred meters away because we see him walking, so the distance is about a few hundred meters. Where the plane is, across this type of hill, and across this type of hill, it's sort of like type of dust hill, desert hill type of, with a rocky little rocks. And she follows him all the way to his hut and asks more questions, and he gets more irritated. He strikes the woman dies. It's a tragedy in the movie, this, because it shows that the woman is there and risks, because she says you're lying. The woman says you're lying, you're hiding something, you're lying, you're hiding something, you're lying, you're hiding something. Of course he was hiding the gold. He was hiding the gold. He was hiding the gold nuggets. Part of it was visible, and he didn't want to, of course, share and reveal that. So he strikes the woman, and this shows the lengths in certain circumstances. And he was, don't want to justify his action, but at this point in time he was already getting dehydrated. He was already not feeling well because of the sun, lacking food and water. Remember, just before he wasted a big portion of the bottle. It's implied most of the bottle. I don't know if it was a little bit at the end, but it doesn't show after. He wasted, due to trying to get the snake, he wasted water because he rushed, so he forgot to close the bottle. So he tries to kill the snake, and the snake, the black and the white snake, that's how he wastes the water. So he's lacking water, lacking food, and he's dehydrated and irritated. Even the woman says, you look like you need some water. You're gonna start hallucinating. And she tells him about the effects that it's gonna have. And finally he strikes her mortal blow to the woman. He buries her, but the dogs are trying to get to her, because there's dogs. The night that he also chases with fire, there's dogs, a lot of dogs, wild dogs out there in the desert, scavenger dogs. He strikes the woman. It shows all these combinations of factor, the gold plus him being dehydrated and tired and hot, because it shows he's very hot. He starts to have these little white little bubbles that form around his neck and on his face. Is getting more peeled due to the sun. He doesn't have sunscreen. Doesn't show him putting any sunscreen. So that's the tragedy in the movie, the death of this young woman, which occurs due to the several factors. In my opinion, he's not a killer, he's not a murderer, he's not a negative person, but he does this negative bad act out of, and there's something controversial there that I kept on meditating on. It doesn't, because the woman does get aggressive, starts screaming, so it kind of implies that it could be that he got scared and in self-defense, because the woman starts screaming at him and advances almost as to hit him, almost as to to attack him in aggression. That's implied. Before he strikes her, the woman says, "You're lying, you're hiding something," and starts screaming at him. "Hey, you turned on each other in your cities, and now you," and start screaming. That is implied. It could be. I'm not fully convinced that he acted in sort of reactionary self-defense, and there's an ambiguity, almost that she struck her out of fear, because before he struck her, this is important to mention, the woman got very aggressive and starts screaming at him and advancing us to attack him. So that's when he picks the shovel, or some made-up shovel, and he strikes her. So it's kind of this ambiguous his fear, his dehydration, his state of mind, not being fully 100%, the golden nugget, the golden nuggets, all these factors, and plus the final factor, her started raising her voice, screaming at him, and advancing in an aggressive manner before he strikes her. That's what makes him strike her, basically. A deadly blow, mortal blow. So he buries her. The driver calls him on the satellite phone and he says that he needs more time, interestingly enough. And then you see him more getting worse, but he takes from the woman, he takes food, and the woman had water, so he takes the water and the food from the woman because she died and he buried her. And there's this is an important symbolic in the movie. There's a big, powerful windstorm, like a wind, a very powerful windstorm that he gets caught in. He makes it to the hut, but the hut, part of it blows because the wind is too powerful, and he loses certain items. Not the satellite phone. Satellite phone rings again, and the driver stalls again, says that you're gonna have to wait again, and says again, and it's kind of hallucinating at this point. He's less and less aware or able to perform his survival tasks, and he hears the voice of another woman, which he thinks is hallucinations, because the woman looks the same, and it's actually the sister of the woman who killed, kind of like a twin sister. The woman who killed, kind of like the twin sister of the woman he killed, who appears to him, and it's implied and shown that the driver calls again and he stalls again and says, I can't wait anymore. And that windstorm, and the woman's voice also appears, and kind of like a mystical, spiritual almost. And there's deep philosophy to it. The wind is kind of have to do with, again, transformation, and the individual transformation, and collective society, also in terms of crises. And the windstorm is definitely symbolic, and of course the sister of the woman whom he killed by XYZ, whatever reasons, plus Mother Nature, like the goal is sort of a retribution, if you will, and his transformation to reach XYZ. And there's also the stalling of by the driver, who's shown that he's there by the hill watching him with binoculars. Binoculars is watching him, so he's stalling, he's waiting basically for him to die, to get the golden nugget by himself. He does die tragedy by the dogs eat him, the dogs eat him, the dogs eat him. Dogs eat him, and the main character comes to retrieve the gold for himself. The sister of the woman has seen them both, and she's seen as having an arrow and a bow, and bow and an arrow, bow and an arrow. And when the driver comes after the young man is dead, death by the dogs, comes to retrieve the gold, and this excavator comes out of the car, and shown as being struck in the heart, by the arrow. And so they both die, basically. Paradoxing way, they don't get the gold, and that's how it ends. It's not, hey, look what I got. Jumped and flied away, jumped and flied away. So, a very good movie overall. The dialogue has to be paid close attention to the dialogue in the movie, the exchanges between the characters. They have philosophy, deep, profound philosophy in it, and the environment, the feel of the movie is very raw in many ways. It's very raw in that post-apocalyptic kind of like desolation of civilization and society that occurs. And it has very different elements of human nature being explored, of different characters, generationals, people to do what to do with survival, and of course the team. And when the team is greed, striking gold, striking riches, from rags to riches, from rags to riches story, from rags to riches story. Although the greed got in the way of their humanity in many ways, and they even became murderous, capable of harming another human being to get rich, to get wealthy, to get kind of like rap music. For the moment, start rapping, deliciously disgusting diatribe, R.A.P. rap, 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 rap. But anyways, it's implied that that is the main team, different teams, main teams of greed, survival, what to do to survive, scenarios, fictitious scenarios where the normal course of civilization as we know it is an end, society as we know it is an end, economic hardships, financial hardships, commercial hardships, and the breakdown of society, the post, afterwards the remnants, striking gold, riches. Although rags to riches, well, it is and it isn't, because they don't get the gold out of there. The gold, big, huge, mega gold nugget remains in place. The paradox could be that, of course, the scorpion keeps on walking on the golden nugget. The scorpion keeps on walking on the golden nugget. The scorpion keeps on walking on the golden nugget. That could be one of the themes of of the of the movie. The paradox of the movie. Movie has paradoxes. There's a movie with paradoxes for sure. The dialogue has to be very careful listened to, to imply and to imagine the society in which they describe and which they're part of. The setting is very well done, I have to say. The feel, the capture of the feel, how they're dirty, how their clothes are unkept and decrepit and with holes and worn and torn, torn and worn, worn and torn clothes. The the car and the outhouse at the beginning of the movie. Even the women who appear in the movie, the two sisters, they're shown as being scarred and their clothes sewn from different pieces of clothes and dirty and holes and worn and torn, like after a war zone, like a sort of a war zone. So it implies the production as we know it of different items of economy, and also not as we know it, and that a lot of are just utilizing the remnants, the remains, the kids of what was civilization, with a car, petrol, oil, and food in cans. And you have to see it. So the movie is called Gold, G-O-L-D. Gold is in the precious metal. And yes, indeed, I do rate it high, more than, I'll give it a good 8 plus on 10. If I were to rate it, a good 3.7 stars, almost close to 4 stars in my opinion. It's a movie that I would watch again just to pay attention again to the dialogue, to the conversations which are important, and to the themes of the movie, to the more philosophical, hidden, profound aspects about different characters and natures. Human nature is explored, right? In rather extreme circumstances, has to be said that human nature explored from what if perspective, from a what if perspective, not just what if being a catastrophic environment, breakdown of society and civilization, and economic, financial, commercial crises, but also what if two people who are poor, working class, strike gold, find riches. It's like winning the lotto, right? Myself being in an economic, financial, commercial crisis at the moment. What if I do if I would win the lotto? Well, I would definitely share with my sister. Definitely share with my sister. I would definitely share with my sister. First and foremost, I win the lotto, I would definitely share with my sister. Second, I would invest in the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom's world peace mission. Pay my $10,000 debt to the private banking financial institutions, the RBC Royal Bank of Canada, has the logo, that lion with the sword and the world, and my $2,200 debt to the government of Quebec. Pay my debt, all my debt, finance my sister, jumpstart to continue the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom work. Then afterwards, do whatever charity specifically for food security. Food security is important for me. Food security is important. So would definitely help with food security. My fellow LGBTQ community sponsors specifically struggling LGBTQ artists, because myself being LGBTQ, due to being LGBTQ, have lost economic, financial, commercial opportunity and continuance of being of work, continuance of blessings, economic, financial, commercial, financial, economic blessings due to being LGBTQ. So that a lot of people are in that situation, more or less, depending on the value, depending on different factors. A lot of people do need support in that way, specifically at this time. This point in time is food security, which is the most important aspect that it is today. I think that is food security, because food security is the most important thing that we can do. It. Everybody gotta eat, and the food in the movie, it shows how precious and scarcity, scarcity. Food is holy, sacred, and divine. Food and water, of course. The movie showed that, of course, it takes place in this desert environment, and nonetheless, the paradox, crossing this desert, they both find it. Well, the young character finds it, but he's and the young character kind of in the movie, when he finds it, is ambiguous about what to do, because he looks back and forth because the other person's far away, because he went to take a leak. Remember, if the car breaks down, the finding of the gold nugget is important in the movie, because it's the young man that finds it, and how he finds it is a very important and specific part in his own nature. He looks back and forth whether to advise, to call, to let the driver know what he found, or keep it for himself and come back later. He could have done that. He could have come back later by himself with another person or whatever. But he chooses to let the driver know, to advise the driver that he found the gold nugget. Because he turns back, he looks back and forth, and he sees the driver. Right? He sees the driver, and he calls, come here. Let me show you. The driver says, what? He says, come here. He says, what do you want? Come here, let me show you something. I gotta show you something. And he shows him the gold nugget. So struggles, but he's shown because he's kind of reticent about it. He looks at the driver, he's far away. He's trying to fix the car because remember he was driving and the car broke down because he turned higher, he put higher the AC. And so that's the motive why they stopped, and he goes to pee to relieve himself. And so he's of course shown that he shares the his finding of this gold nugget with the driver, nonetheless while crossing a desert. So there's that incorporation of that symbolism, the act of does the gold nugget where do they find it? It's like, it doesn't say halfway or midpoint, but while them crossing this wasteland, this wilderness of desert, this deserted wilderness. And from the movie, we infer that it's kind of a struggle whether to share this or not with the driver, because he looks back, he kind of does with his mouth, there's facial gestures that imply that he's debating whether to advise the driver or not, whether to share with the driver his findings. And of course, he does share with the driver his findings, and the driver tests, and with a fire, his goal doesn't turn black. So, exploring deep, profound human nature, but has to be stated that exploring human nature in such a dire circumstance, in such a dire scenario, in such a dire environment, wilderness, a desert, where societies has been decimated, as we know, the normal civilization, it's a breakdown of civilization. There's poverty, there's decay, there's desolation, desolation. As to how, why is not, we can detect, and I'm pretty sure if I watch it again, which I'm planning to, then I will detect more hints as to exactly what happened, the origins. Was it a solar flare? Was it a World War III? Was it an economic, financial, commercial collapse which caused the world to be in such a way? It's implied but not openly stated the exact causes. And even at the beginning, there's three vague little phrases of short words which kind of imply what happened without openly stating it, or in more detailed manner. How come humanity got to that point? Right? Be such desolation, such destruction, such poverty and crises, which seems to have been for many years up to that already so to that time. And even the woman, and this is repeated in the movie, says that this phrase is another important one. It's repeated in the movie. It says, when you left your city, as you saw people start turning on each other. This is repeated throughout the movie, I think twice or even three times, the same phrase. When you started seeing people turn on each other, when you started seeing people turn on each other. You started seeing people turn on each other. It's a great movie. Recommended, suggested. I just did a movie review in the sun. The sun is also an important theme in the movie. It's shown a lot. Sun throughout the movie. Sun, gold, human nature, such an extreme circumstances, possibilities. Rags to riches, although they don't make it to be rich themselves, right? It's left to interpretation whether the sister of the deceased that got the gold and whether she saw it. But if she saw the I would assume that she saw the excavators, probably see something to excavate, and maybe the scorpion led the sister who took vengeance, retribution, extracted justice, I guess, in in many ways. Scorpion maybe led the sister to the riches. So exploring these themes of human nature, civilization, and what if scenarios, worst case scenarios, is definitely worth a look. Gold 2022. How much is the price of gold now? Is it down? Is it up? Is it up? Is it down today? Don't know. I'm broke, but my work is gold. Don't know. I'm broke, but my work is gold. Don't know. I'm broke, but my work is gold. I'm grateful, thankful. I'm seeing a bee extracting pollen and nectar to make honey somewhere. Look at it work, 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 work. Continuing my intellectual work, my artistic work, my athletic work, my philosophic work, my spiritual work, my general work which I do. Thankful, grateful, thankful my rent is paid for July. Thankful, grateful, thankful that my electricity bill is paid in full, my rent is paid in full. Thank you, grateful, thankful, grateful that my half of my phone bill is paid in full. To that trinity of bills. Fourth dimension, have coffee, more coffee in my room, have noodles, sardines, and pasta. I can keep eating, to eat. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna go have some lunch. Yours truly, Eater and Nana Dragon, if you will, to commission, sponsor a video, please do so. I'm auctioning this red shirt. I'm auctioning this red shirt starting at 10,000 to pay off my debt. $10,000 for this red shirt. It's black shorts. Black shorts also starting at $10,000 in this cup. Starting at 777,777, 777,777 via PayPal and North American shipping only. Business for the moment in time. PayPal, North American shipping, business only at this moment in time. We have PayPal and North American shipping, business only. It's time. Yours truly, this has been a yours truly Coffee with Dragon, special in the sun, reviewing the movie Gold, Gold, Gold. Great movie, great overall movie, which I do recommend you see it. Explores a lot of themes and it's rich. It's good enough for me to watch it again. So let me know what you think. Whatever XYZ. There's a beautiful blue and black creature. There's a beautiful blue and black creature that flew away fast. Beautiful blue and black creature. Make love tonight is the main message. Make love tonight is the main message. Make love tonight is the main message.